Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, our guest today is Senator Jim McClendon. Also, the V Team takes a look at tech turf wars. And Governor Robert Bentley's going on a big beach adventure. Beach blanket bingo? All this and much, much more coming up next on The V.
The Voice of Alabama Politics with your host, Bill Brett. Now, the #1 political show in Alabama, The V.
Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by the B Team. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to be with y'all.
Good to have you. We have a new speaker. The Republican caucus of the House met, and they elected or nominated Mack McCutcheon from around the Huntsville area. And from what we're hearing, there's a big positive reaction to him taking the speakership. Claire, I don't know what you're hearing around the State House.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I mean, I think Mack was a great choice. You know, he's a good man. He's a fair man. He's an honest man. He's a Christian man. I think he's going to, play by the rules. And it's going to be a 180 from what we've had.
Now, Jack, you and I have been very critical of Mack McCutcheon for standing on the stage with Hubbard during the pep rally and for the Star Chamber bill. I think I've made my peace, but we're going to have to, we just have to. What do you think?
Well, I've been sucking it up for the last 5 years. I'd go another few years. But no, I actually texted him and congratulated him. He wrote me back a very nice text. And, I said, I hope we have a new day in Alabama. And he said he really wanted to work with both sides. And that made me feel pretty good. So
yeah, this is a situation, as we've known, whether it's right or wrong. People they were so fearful of the former speaker that they were scared not to do what he told them to do.
Well, one of the first things he did when he was elected is assured everyone that he would not be Mike Hubbard, that he would lead by a totally different set of rules, totally different way of work. He wants to work with every member individually and as a group, and not try to be the dictator that was Mike Hubbard.
And I really, there were several people who talked to me early on that had a lot of heartburn about this. There were certain people that just didn't trust. Speaker McCutcheon and I had a very long, in-depth discussion about him becoming speaker. And he could not have been more gracious. He listened, he spoke. And the most thing is that we agreed upon not how to do things, which is not my that's not my job. But we agreed a lot on the things that needed to be done. And, I hope we can help him. I hope we can offer assistance. Look, we don't pick on Republicans or Democrats. We're just in the report the news. But
we only pick on people that are liars, cheaters, and thieves.
That's right, because they deserve it. It's like Reagan said, if they won't see the light, they're going to feel the heat, right, Jack?
Right. I just hope that our backs don't continue to be turned away from the problems. We got to confront problems. We got bad roads. We have terrible education system. I don't care what anybody says. In certain areas it's okay. We have Medicaid.
That's a crisis, Medicaid.
Yeah, really, and all the Band-Aids that have been put on these problems over the years, they've come off and the scabs are there, and we got to fix it.
Well, that's right. They're the boiling pots, Medicaid and corrections. It's been that way for over 20-something years.
Well, we don't need prison bills like the one we had. We don't need.
I'm not saying
we don't need the STARS program.
Do it all.
And we don't need Bob Riley to continue getting rich off the state.
We've got a real opportunity here as a state to really change the way things work in Alabama. And I think with the leadership, if Mac McCutcheon will take that leadership, that he can really make a change that Alabamians have been looking for a very, very long time.
Well, he does have a golden opportunity because it won't be difficult for him to contrast his leadership style with that of Mike Hubbard.
I'm very optimistic that Mac McCutcheon can do the job as the Speaker.
I am too. It took me a little while to get there, but I talked to people that have known him for a long, long time. I talked to people who are friends of ours who trust him and support him, and I'm ready to let the past be the past, and let's move toward the future.
Let's move along.
But I think, interestingly, he and his wife had a vacation scheduled a year ago that they missed, and that was rescheduled for now. So he's going to be coming back as Speaker basically the day before we go into special session. So I hope he gets some rest. I mean, that's going to be rough.
I understand that. I think that session is going to be, 6 days long? Mm-hmm. They're going to go Monday through Saturday, so it's going to be a rough one.
That's the plan. That's going to be a marathon.
It is.
We've got about 2 minutes left, and we really need to get to this, the BP money being used to refurbish the beach mansion. I mean, Susan, we did a story this week that showed that this money was transferred almost like a pack-to-pack transfer that ended up in the beach house. That story, as of, I think I looked at it last time I looked at it Thursday, had reached almost 70,000 people had looked at it. Susan, give us a breakdown of what happened.
Well, apparently the governor decided about a month after the divorce in which Diane Bentley got the beach house that it was time to...
Their beach house.
Their beach house. It was time for the governor's mansion beach house to be refurbished. Now, but the interesting thing, and I'm all for that, but I'm not for how they move the money. Now, what they're claiming is that they're using leftover 2010 BP money, which the agreement with BP says absolutely cannot be used for that. And B, the way they moved the money. What they did was they took money, $1.4 million from the office of the governor. They moved it to the governor's BP oil spill fund. Then they moved it to EMA. Then EMA moved it to construction management, who managed the beach house property. We're talking 5 leaps to get money from one place to another, which to me always smells like pack-to-pack transfers.
Well, I mean, Claire, I mean, that's what it appears. We reviewed 42 pages of emails. And one of the craziest things in there, it wasn't just that they moved the money, but when people started asking questions, like Senator Hightower and Johnny McMorrow, they said that they had a letter from Aaliyah that said all of the project was a security sensitive issue. So they claimed they had a letter from Aaliyah saying they couldn't give out any information because it was security sensitive.
Well, now that's egregious. We know that. If it's state money, it's public information. Now, I agree that the governor's mansion at the beach, the house, it really needs to be reconstructed and put back together. They've known that since Fob James was there. It's been boiling over. But it's just the way they've gone about it. And the way they're trying to hide all this money and doing it.
Meanwhile, here's another $1.4 million to be put toward the Medicaid crisis.
All right, we got about 10 minutes, Jack. What do you? 10 seconds. 10 seconds.
Okay, well, I think it's egregious. No, I mean, it's obviously designed to cover it up, to keep the legislature from knowing, keeping the people from knowing. It's just it's a bad practice, and to masquerade it as a security situation
is not get approval of the legislature.
That's hoodwinking everybody, and that's wrong.
Any public money needs to go through the legislature. That's the way we're set up.
If they're not careful, they're going to find themselves in a world of legal problems. But we're going to have to leave it right there. You're watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
Well, Thomas, you've got prediabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have prediabetes. Big time.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. We're joined today by Senator Jim McClendon from Springville.
Thank you,
Welcome.
Bill. I'm glad to be here.
We are glad to have you. You know, you were one of our first guests, and we really have appreciated you being on the show. And we're inviting you back at a very, very positive or exciting time, maybe not positive, but you're sponsoring the lottery bill. And as a conservative, why did you come forward with this?
In the last regular session, I came forward with a very simple lottery bill, and I came forward in response to my constituents who simply told me they were tired of driving to Georgia to buy lottery tickets.
Yeah.
They thought it was strange that we didn't have to, that we didn't offer a lottery, and they thought it was undue effort for their part to go somewhere else. And of course, they also point out very quickly they're spending their money in another state, and another state's getting the benefit of that money.
And your district is traditionally very, very conservative. So these are not like flaming liberals coming over and saying, hey, will you pass us a lottery, right?
These are not flaming liberals by any means, but apparently they spend money on lottery tickets and they're ready to find something more convenient. But now what's happened since I introduced that bill, and that was a simple constitutional amendment, it was 31 words. And it worked its way through the legislature, but it never made it to the floor for a vote. But it was a good opportunity for me to talk about what my fellow senators thought a lottery bill should have in it. Well, since that time, we have gone into a crisis, a true financial crisis with our Medicaid program. We underfunded that program significantly, and suddenly this lottery proposal has shown up as an alternative to taxes on the people. This is a voluntary tax. If people want to buy a ticket, they can. I've never bought one myself, but I might if we had one here and I didn't have to drive to Georgia to do it.
Yeah.
But now we're faced with a serious issue in our general fund, which is reflected in underfunding the Medicaid. Medicaid funds health care for the poor folks, people that can't afford insurance.
Right.
And pays for most of the births actually in Alabama, and it covers the children. And this has turned into an effort to try to do something, and the only thing I've seen in sight to help those children and help get Medicaid back on a firm foundation.
Senator, could I ask you, what would the projected revenue be from a lottery if we had a statewide lottery?
You know, the projections are
I know it's arbitrary,
all over
yeah.
the place.
Yeah.
But I think we can safely put a floor at $225 million, and depending on the style of lottery that the legislature selects, it could go to over $400 million.
And that's per year.
That's annually.
Annually.
That is revenue net to the state.
Where will the money go? Which fund will it go to?
Well, we're talking two different bills here.
Oh,
which
that's right.
We'll get into that.
Okay.
You want to get into that now?
Yeah, let's talk about the two
Okay.
different bills.
All right, so based on my conversation with my fellow senators, I put together a bill, rather comprehensive bill, and it went from 31 words to 19 pages in order to get everybody incorporated in there that I felt had a valid idea. At the same time, the governor has come forward with a bill. In fact, he released that bill last Friday to legislators for their review. And he has asked me to carry that bill as well. So I will be carrying two different lottery bills. And there's distinct differences between those bills, and it's going to be up to the legislature to work out the differences and come forward with something that they are satisfied with, and that hopefully the people of Alabama will understand and perhaps be able to support.
Would you mind sharing with us briefly how those bills are different?
Yes. The governor's bill, as he has made clear, is a straightforward traditional lottery. That's where you go down to the Handy Mart and you pay your $2, or maybe you get your scratch-offs, and they will be able to use the interstate lotteries, the Powerballs, and all those things. That's it on his bill. Now, he creates a commission in there to oversee this.
And who appoints that commission?
That's 7 commissioners appointed by the governor and approved by the Senate.
So we're actually willing to give the governor power to appoint the commission in perpetuity with this bill?
Well, no, it's not in perpetuity.
Okay.
In fact, I'm telling you that's what's in the governor's bill. And the legislature does not mind putting their thumbprint on every sentence and paragraph in any piece of legislation.
What would be the term of an appointee be? Would they be staggered?
There'll be staggered terms, but they'll be four-year terms.
Now, in your bill, who makes up the commission?
The commission in my bill is made by the usual group of folks that make appointments. The governor has an appointment. The attorney general, not the attorney general, the Speaker of the House would have an appointment, the pro tem of the Senate, and so on. So it's a variety. Now, here is a major difference in the two bills. This commission in my bill, the appointments the initial appointments do not go before the Senate, and they are to be made within 60 days of the people passing this bill. So they will be ready to go to work immediately. Subsequent members of that commission will require the advice and support of the Senate, but this allows them to get started. So there's 2 parts to my bill. There's 1 part to the governor's bill. That's a traditional lottery. Mine also has the traditional lottery, but it also has electronic lottery terminals, which are devices at which you can play a lottery by yourself if you wish to do so. And those are limited to the 4 locations in Alabama that have approved pari-mutuel wagering.
Let me understand this, and I've heard about those, and I understand they're very, very popular, and they generate a lot of revenue. But the question is, the governor doesn't. I mean, he sort of doesn't like that, but you're hearing people on your side that like that.
That is correct. The governor prefers not to do that, and so he didn't have that in his bill. I have talked with folks, and listen, the components of this bill are totally dependent on what it takes to get the votes in the legislature so we can get it out and get it in front of the people.
Well, once that's approved and the commission sets up the guidelines, that could start bringing in revenue immediately, couldn't it? I mean, we're talking about not waiting 2 years to get the money.
That is correct.
How do we get that immediately into the budget when it does come? Let's say, because at this point we would be in the next budget for next year. How do we get it in as soon as the money starts coming in? Is there provision for that?
The legislature's job is to allocate the funds. So the legislature can handle that. So I will assure you, if we collect the money, the legislature will find a place to put it.
That's good. That's good. I know people want to know that.
And we've got about 20 seconds here. We have to wrap it up. How do you feel right now going into the special session in a week?
I feel good. I feel good. I can certainly say that this bill has a better chance than any bill that's been introduced probably forever. The 1999 bill didn't go anywhere. We've had numerous bills since then. They've never come out of committee. This bill should come out of committee and should see some action on the Senate and House floor.
Well, that's great. One thing I do want to bring up, we talked about Medicaid. I think this is very important for people to understand that 80% of the people on Medicaid are either below 15 years old or in a nursing home. So we're talking about the youngest and most vulnerable. And on the behalf of those folks, I would like to say thank you for championing their cause by offering something that's not easy, but is probably necessary. Thank you for your service.
Remember, those cuts started in August 1st, so we got to get moving.
All right. Well, she gets the last word. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
All right.
Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
everybody.
You're watching The V. Our guest today has been Senator Jim McClendon, who has the guts to do what needs to be done.
Alabama, the road and the restaurants are calling. We've elevated barbecue to an art form, a meat masterpiece. Fine dining your thing? National awards are putting us on the map.
Because everything's fresh and local.
And if you like your dinner with a view, well, you can't beat this. Alabama has a road trip with your name on it.
Which one you gonna take?
Well, Thomas, you've got prediabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have prediabetes. Big time.
Welcome back to the V, the voice of Alabama politics. Welcome, Beth.
Hey, good to be here.
Good to have you. I know this is something that you've been kind of interested in, and Susan and Claire as well. You know, there's just been these various softwares like eStart and Stars and Star Wars and whatever, but there's been a real problem with personnel saying that these eStart program doesn't work. And we got a letter from the Attorney General, we got a letter from Superintendent of Education, and several other people saying it didn't work. Well, Attorney General Luther Strange issued an opinion that stated basically that personnel had the authority to decide what time and clocks were used.
Well, you know, this whole thing, it looks like it's, and I don't have any way to substantiate this, my gut is telling me that this is a war between people who are trying to get rich off this. Anytime something doesn't make sense, what do, Susan? You follow the money. And so there's all this stuff that people are making contracts for programs that don't work, and none of this makes any sense. And so it's almost one of those things where it seems like the Attorney General has said, you know what? Personnel is going to settle this. Y'all all quit bickering. We're going to get something that works here because this is ridiculous.
Well, I mean, Susan, you've looked at this a lot, and this eStart program has had multiple problems along the way.
It has. There's problems where people can't log on. It's not a real-time situation where we need real-time. It doesn't accommodate people like state troopers or people in ag and industry. Now, here's my real problem with the whole idea. This is a duplication of services. All right, we have CGI over here with Stars. We have Kronos with eStart, okay? Now, as much of a problem as we've had with CGI, and Jackie Graham's letter to the Attorney General said, or to Finance said, listen, this situation over here, the Advantage upgrade that we had, which is the CGI Stars upgrade, is working. Why are we trying to now use eStart?
Duplicate.
It's duplicate, and what it is eStart started out in corrections, and all of a sudden in 2013 it needed to go statewide. So we've got two different companies trying to compete for the same space, and it's centered in finance, and finance hasn't even noticed it yet.
Well, all of this comes back to finance, and whether it's the cases of telephones sitting in an office somewhere, or if it's two different programs that are doing the same thing, all of this comes back to finance. It comes back to Bill Newton. And I'm sorry, but somebody has to be accountable for this. These are our tax dollars that are being spent this way. And the fact that the people in this state aren't just outraged blows my mind.
Well,
they don't know about it.
That's right.
They're hearing every year.
Yeah,
the average person has no idea. Everybody on Goat Hill knows some of these type things. But you're right. It needs to be consolidated, and there needs to be one system that's used throughout the state to make it.
And then that's what Luther said. Look,
financially-
Luther Strange said, look, they have the ultimate authority, constitutional, statutorily. Let's move on. I have to bring this up. There's always a reason to bring up Jim Ziggler. You know, there's just always a reason to bring him
You gotta
up.
love the Zig Man.
I do. And Jack, he told me he was offended that you had made fun of him and said he wore lousy ties.
They're awful. They're just.
No, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
You showed me a picture of one, and it's still it's hideous.
Wednesday, I went over to the Capitol, and I saw his tie. It was much better than most of them. It was very patriotic, stars and stripes. Okay?
Well, I'm like Rodney Dangerfield. I ain't no bargain either, but I don't wear what. I mean, good God.
Well,
anyway,
he is standing up to everybody and calling it like it is. We appreciate what he's doing.
He's not a toothless tiger.
He is not.
No, he's got some sharp teeth, too.
Yeah, but I got to tell you, Governor Bentley went by his office this week to bring him some peaches, and he wasn't there. And so Ziggler said should he go over to the, what did he say, Susan?
Well, he said apparently the governor did not leave the peaches. He took them with him, and he said, well, should I go over to the Capitol where I've never been welcome before to pick up my peaches? Should I invite him back to bring my peaches? Basically, he just really had a field day
anything
with
about
it.
having a lawsuit to get his peaches back?
Well, he also said should he file an ethics complaint because that was a thing of value. He didn't think it made quite $25.
It was not $25, but I did confirm with his executive assistant Hope that he did not bring back the peaches yet.
I thought he went there to make a peach offering.
My understanding he did, but as of Thursday last week, 2 days ago, the peaches were not back.
Of all fruits that Bentley should stay away from, it's a peach.
Yeah, that's true.
That's just the one fruit he should not be in the same room with right now.
No, really. I mean, because he's never had any peaches, and now he's got peaches he's giving out.
Yeah, we're looking, he's looking at impeachment.
He always gave out watermelons.
There's the peach beer. Let's not forget the
He
impeachable
always
ale.
gave out watermelons. He gave us a watermelon one year. It was just fantastic.
He should. Peaches are that's a very productive agricultural product in our state.
I love peaches.
And
It's
Chilton
my favorite
County is known
fruit.
for it, so there's nothing wrong with peaches.
Hey, listen, Chilton
I hope
County
he'll
peaches
bring me
are
some.
my favorite. So it's not the peach,
What do you
it's
think,
the man.
I think we better cut our losses and move on out this Sunday morning.
Ziggler's ties, Jack says are hideous. Claire says they're lovely, and we know.
I said good. I didn't say lovely.
Good, and we know that Bentley's got some peaches.
Here, a basket full, maybe.
Okay, well, we're going to leave it right there. You're watching the V, the voice of Alabama politics. Ain't that peachy?
If you lit one of those ties on fire, it would just melt. It wouldn't burn, it would just melt.
You think it's by DuPont?
Oh, at least, or 3M.
What do you put LED lights in it?